on efforts to support families and to eliminate violence against children. Today's meeting is on the theme of family parenting and new challenges, and this is certainly a very broad topic. I'm going to just focus my remarks on a few key issues from the perspective of UNICEF. For those of you who do not know UNICEF, we work in 180 countries and territories, supporting governments and other national partners to improve the well-being of children. We've built up a large body of knowledge and experience on this issue, and we have been working in Egypt for many years, since 1952, I believe. We partner very closely with NCCM, with the Ministry of Social Solidarity and many other line ministries. And it's really a pleasure to see so many media people here, because you really have a critical role to play in the issues that we will be discussing today. I mean, it may be obvious, but families are the most important source of support for children. Children need nurturing, and they need guidance for many years, and the quality of this nurturing has a major impact on how well children will develop and how they will fulfill their potential to eventually become healthy, educated and productive adults. This task is not primarily one that belongs to the state or the government. It's the actions and aspirations of parents and other family members which are critical to how well their children will prosper. This prime role of parents and the family in the care and protection of children is acknowledged in the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The state, of course, has a critical role to play in supporting families, in supporting children without parental care, but also in investing in surrounding social policies and programs, particularly in health, education and child protection. But from the child's perspective, it is the day-to-day experience of children within the family that has the greatest impact on their development. And this is particularly true when we're talking about early childhood. This is a very critical period. By the age of 3, the child's brain is 80% developed. So this is so if children are deprived in those early years, they can't make it up to the extent that had they not suffered that deprivation. So this is a very critical period that parents should know about, and they should be empowered. I should add that much of what we know about early childhood and brain development has been quite recent. It's the last 20 years. So experiences have been developed in many parts of the country, but based on an evidence base that is quite recent. I'll mention a couple of the challenges. Although families and parents are very crucial for the development of their children, they're not able to fulfill this. Part of the reason is that there may be some stress factors, there may be family breakdown, and this results in some families not being able to provide a nurturing and protective environment to children. One of the key challenges, of course, globally, I'm not talking specifically about Egypt, but it is an issue here too, is the issue of multidimensional poverty. Evidence across the world shows that families with children, especially large families, are at greater risk of poverty and different kinds of deprivation, such as health deprivation, nutrition, shelter, access to information. Poverty and disadvantage can often be transmitted from one generation to another. So if you are a poor child, you're likely to grow up to be poor and disadvantaged, and your children will too. So it's important when we look at what actions can be taken is how can the state and the partners, how can this intergenerational transmission be broken? And international experience has shown that violence against children can be a manifestation of multidimensional poverty. And violence, the minister was talking about violence, the films were talking about violence. This is a very critical issue because growing up in a family free of violence is critical to a child's well-being and development. there have been some studies done that show that a child that is living in a violent family have stresses equal to a soldier in a war situation. If you're talking, and this is quite an extreme, but this is a case if a child is repeatedly exposed to violence as a witness or as receiving violence, this is going to really affect that child throughout their life. From the work that we have done with national partners around the world, we know that around 6 in every 10 children between the ages of 2 and 14 worldwide, this is almost 1 billion children, are subjected to physical punishment by their parents or caregivers on a regular basis. So this is 60%. So this is a critical issue. In Egypt, NCCM and UNICEF have recently completed a study on violence against children, which highlighted that Egypt is very much in this norm. Just over 60% of children reported that they had been exposed to some kind of physical violence. And this is an issue that we know from our work around the world is something that that all countries are grappling with, that there are gaps, and the role is not to apportion blame, but to say these are the gaps, this is what can be done, and let's work together to make it happen. The impact of violence and deprivation, the effects of violence can be difficult to reverse, and it can be carried to the next generation. Therefore, we're talking about an issue that is not isolated to that child or to that family, but also affects the whole society. It's a societal issue, and it has economic and human costs. So it's important that we look together to see what we can do. How can we support families to provide this nurturing environment, an environment free of violence? All parents want to do their best for children, but the tools may not be there, they may not know exactly how to go about it. So it's up to us together with the media to see how to make sure that all parents have access to the right information at the right time so that they can make a difference in their child's life. We know that parenting support programs where children's parents can learn how to care for their child, they learn parenting skills, they can learn how to discipline their child without using physical or emotional violence. They're working in different parts of the world. They have an impact. This is something that we are currently working with the partners, with NCCM and Ministry of Social Solidarity, so to increase knowledge, resources and competence for child rearing from early childhood right through adolescence, which is another period where children really need very intense parenting, and parents often find this very challenging. It's also important, and I would like to really reiterate what the Minister said in talking about the importance of breaking silence on violence and trying to change social norms. People genuinely, and I'm again not talking specifically about Egypt, they believe that a child doesn't learn or cannot be disciplined without force. But we also now are beginning to understand that this can have a detrimental effect on children. So it is important that we look for ways in which children can be relieved from this burden of violence, and how we can change the social norm that is currently prevailing in many countries. And it would be interesting to hear how media professionals here see this and what their role could be. This is quite a critical issue, and it is not done in like a campaign. It's something that requires sustained efforts at different levels. It requires efforts of the government, of civil society, of parents, media, working together over a sustained period of time. Finally, again, echoing what the Minister was saying, good, well-targeted social protection programs can really help, because families who are in poverty really struggle on a day-to-day basis. So integrating cash benefits and social services targeted at the most vulnerable families can also make a very big difference and have been proven to work in many countries. Egypt does have good social protection programs, and we need to see that make sure that these are working in parallel with other programs. I'll just end by saying a few words about new challenges, because the challenges that I've talked about are not new. They've been, parents have been struggling with these for centuries. But in terms of the safety of children online, this is a relatively new phenomenon, and it is one that, as parents, we're not very well equipped. I know I'm a parent, and my technological knowledge is maybe 20% of that of my children. So it is definitely an issue, and we need to look at it both as an opportunity. It's an unprecedented opportunity for children and young people to be informed, to be educated, and to be entertained on occasions. But it also exposes them to a number of risks. I think the Minister spoke about this. I won't really repeat it. But again, this is something that we need to. We would like to hear from the professionals. How should this be done? What is possible? I'm going to stop now because I think it would be good to hear from you, and also if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to take them. So thank you.